Hello, academic buzzword coming at you at level C, which I'm not sure. I think it is a little more difficult going through these practice ones in the fall of 2022 here. I think level C has been a little more difficult than level B, but they seem pretty close. They seem pretty close. Uh, yeah, maybe a little step up. But this is going to be academic stuff, so it's going to be stuff you learned about in school with a little smattering, a little taste of pop culture stuff. These were put out in 2019, so expect current events questions from November of 2019. And it's Buzzword. You know how it works. It's questions are going to be a series of clues that go from more obscure to more well known. And the earlier you buzz in and get it right, the more points you get. And there's going to be math. There's going to be computational math. The computational math questions are definitely harder in C than they are in B. That I am very sure of. But let's see what they got for us with these. Here we go.
Mummified bodies known as salt men were found in this country's Cherabad salt mines near the city of Zanjan. Harun al-Rashid is buried in the shrine of Imam Reza in this country's city of Mashhad. The 10th century poet Ferdowsi wrote what is widely considered this country's national epic, the Shahnameh. Ayatollahs wield political power.
Okay, so it's Iran. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, I know what region we're in. I know what region we're in for sure, but don't know which country. But then you talk about Ayatollahs, and it's Iran. Pretty clearly from there.
The winning coalition in this country's 2018
More
general
countries.
election included the left-wing Labour Party and the right-wing Social Encounter Party, and supported a candidate who once led the Party of the Democratic Revolution. In 2018, a political party called the PRI lost control of this country's president.
And that's just Mexico. And the PRI. I didn't think it was actually. I'm probably wrong. I'm going to put that out. I am most likely wrong, but I recall always hearing that political party of Mexico being referred to as the PRI, never the PRI. But I am probably wrong. Not wrong about Mexico. This question.
The square of the length of this line segment touching side A is 2b squared plus 2c squared minus a square, all over 4, according to Apollonius's theorem. These line segments meet at a point 2/3 of the way along each of them. The centroid is the intersection of these line segments in a triangle. For 10 points, name these segments that stretch from a vertex in a triangle to the opposite side's midpoint.
Oh, what are those called? Oh, it's been so long. What are those called? Medians. That's what it's called. Yep. Man, all those geometry terms just go away when you don't have to calculate the areas of triangles anymore.
While visiting this city, the Emperor Caracalla was mocked by a play and ordered this city to be sacked. Eratosthenes and Euclid trained at this city's Museion Academy. This city was named after a man whose corpse was brought to this city from Babylon. A dynasty founded by Ptolemy ruled from this city.
Oh.
The Pharos was a large lighthouse inn for 10 points.
Okay. You know, there's a thing when it comes to ancient cities, you can buzz in and say Alexandria, and there's like a 30% chance you're going to be right. Because there were a lot of them. Alexander was not clever in the way he named the cities he conquered. But this was the most famous of the Alexandrias.
This poet described a substance that makes still pools on the sidewalk in his April Rain song. Okay. A narrator who enjoys records of Bessie, Bop, or Bach is told to go home and write a page tonight in this author's poem, Theme for English B. In another of his poems, a speaker whose soul has grown deep proclaims, I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. For 10 points, what American wrote, The Negro Speaks of...
Yeah, I had an inkling of Hughes there, but those were all poems that I wasn't familiar with.
A previously undiscovered layer of this structure was reported by Harminder Dua in 2013.
Structure.
Its other layers include Decime's membrane and Bowman's layer. Keratitis is an inflammation of this structure.
Oh.
This transparent structure's namesake limbus is its border with the sclera. LASIK surgery reshapes this structure.
Oh, the cornea, not the lens. Yeah. Yep. All right. I wasn't specific enough. That was a wild ride. I thought we might have been in astronomy there. I thought we may have been in earth science for a while. That was pretty clear. We ended up on anatomy, obviously, but just put in the wrong eye term.
This city has experienced a long-standing fast food rivalry between Red Mill Burgers and Dick's Drive-In. Asian immigrants in this city popularized a dish of grilled chicken over rice, sweet soy sauce, and salad, which is simply called teriyaki. Fishmongers throw...
Yeah, it's Seattle. I thought Dick's was Seattle. I don't know why. I don't know where that little piece of knowledge came from, but it's like, I think Dick's is in Seattle. Just because it's a great name for... It's a great name for a fast food chain.
In a story by this author, a reclusive poet writes an epic cataloging every feature of the world using a vantage point found in his basement. This author also wrote a story in which a spy murders an expert in Chinese literature to convey the location of an artillery battery to German forces.
What?
The Aleph and The Garden of Forking Paths are philosophical short stories by, for 10 points, what author from Argentina?
Okay. Yeah, took my shot on a South American writer and chose the wrong one. I think Dos Passos is from Argentina. Obviously wrong on the question. Not 100% sure if I'm right on Dos Passos's origins.
This force was attacked by 8 fire ships shortly before it lost the Battle of Gravelines. A monarch gave the Tilbury speech to rally support against this force, which was...
I'm just gonna take my shot. Yeah, I figured. There's not too many names of forces that are known throughout history, so it's gonna be like the Spanish Armada or like the Joint Expeditionary Force or something like that. But the speech at Tilbury was Liz Wan's famous speech. Was that the "I am but a woman, but I have the heart of a lion"? I think she did that at Tilbury. Yeah, I'm not sure. I never watched the Elizabeth movies, so I don't know for sure.
An inequality named for this man applies to pairs of variables that satisfy a canonical commutation relation.
That's full on
Along
math.
with Max Born and Pascual Jordan, this man formulated the matrix mechanics interpretation of quantum mechanics. A statement named for this man implies that it is impossible to...
Yeah. Look at me that. Heisenberg. Yeah, Heisenberg. Well, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, you can't know object's location and its velocity accurately, or the more you know about the location, the less you know about the velocity, and vice versa.
At the end of one game, this character excitedly blurts out the word pancakes, the first definitive word he ever speaks. In his first appearance, this character wakes up on Insanity Beach before...
Yeah. I mean, I'll take high points on that. I thought it was, yeah, because Crash Bandicoot never talks except to say pancakes. But that was a era of gaming that I was not involved in very much, especially on the PlayStation.
At this man's funeral, a speaker quoted his statement, "I dream things that never were and say why not." This man, who purchased Hickory Hill in 1956, wrote The Enemy Within, attacking corrupt union leaders such as Jimmy Hoffa. His presidential campaign ended at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, very, very abruptly ended at the Ambassador Hotel.
An election held in this year was the first held
I
since
hate
the
your
passage of
questions.
Bill C-44, which authorized independent cost projections for party platforms.
I don't even know what
Debates for
country we're
this
in.
year's election struggled with whether to invite People's Party leader Maxime Bernier. Andrew Scheer's Conservative Party made gains, but could not prevent a new term for Justin Trudeau's Liberals in.
It was the current year. That was a weird question. I kind of like that. I had a meta guess there because like they're not going to ask a question about. I guess these questions could have been written or could have been read. They're editorially correct as of November 2019, but they probably were read more in 2020. That was a weird one.
This phenomenon causes the thermal broadening of spectral lines. Echocardiograms rely on this phenomenon to observe the direction and speed of blood flow. In astronomy, this effect explains the appearance of blue shift or red shift.
Yeah, the Doppler effect. It's definitely blue shift and red shift. I don't know what. I really don't know what. That's really interesting that they can use it, or EKGs use the Doppler effect. I didn't know that. That's super interesting. I love when you use weird stuff like the Doppler effect in order to determine stuff like pulse.
This national leader ordered retaliatory airstrikes in response to Operation Chengiz Khan. The Smiling Buddha nuclear tests were overseen by this leader.
Oh.
A 21-month period in which this prime minister held absolute power was known as the emergency. After ordering an attack on the Golden Temple at Amritsar, she was assassinated.
Yeah. It's a bad idea to attack a temple when all of your bodyguards are adherents to that religion. It's a bad idea.
In March 2019, the Housing and Urban Development Department sued this company for allowing ads that violate the Fair Housing Act. At a 2019 conference, this company announced the slogan, "The future is private." Its proposed cryptocurrency is called Libra. COO Sheryl Sandberg took responsibility for this company's role in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Mark Zuckerberg founded.
Okay. Were they meta? Are they meta at this point? I don't think they were meta at that point. So we'll just we'll just take the Facebook answer, tentatively put in Facebook, and hope they weren't meta at the time.
One of these curves, named for Theodorus, is made by placing increasingly larger right triangles next to each other. Logarithmic examples of these curves can be drawn by inscribing quarter circles in golden rectangles. In polar coordinates, graphing the equation r equals theta produces one of these figures named for Archimedes. For 10 points, name this type of curve that moves outward as it rotates around a center.
Oh. Okay. There's a lot of different ways to describe a spiral that were very complicated. That's good. That's a good question. I like that.
This city contains the headquarters of the cruise ship company Royal Caribbean. In recent years, the arrival of Venezuelan immigrants has caused this city's suburb of Doral to be nicknamed Doralzuela. During Carnival, the Calle Ocho festival celebrates the Cuban-American community in this hometown of Marco Rubio. Little Havana.
That's Miami. I thought yeah. No, what's... It was a far. My initial thought was Oslo, because there's a lot of cruise companies that operate out of Norway, and Royal Caribbean does not make sense for any of them. I don't know why I was thinking that. Miami makes a lot more sense given all the other clues.
This author used a pair of parakeets as a symbol of domesticity in a play that takes place in Central Park, where Jerry tries to antagonize Peter into fighting for control of a bench. In the Walpurgisnacht section of a 1962 play by this author, Nick discusses his wife's false pregnancy at a drunken party hosted by George and Martha.
Huh. I don't know what that first play was. The second one was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? I don't know what that first play was. It was wild. That sounded almost like Godot level of absurdism there.
Part of this battle was fought in a defensive complex nicknamed the Meat Grinder, which included Hill 382. The defending forces in this battle were commanded by Tadamichi Kurabayashi. During this battle, Joe Rosenfeld captured a...
They'll give me that. Maybe they won't. But I was close enough. Yeah, like, just giving numbers for hills that immediately just sounded like World War II. I put myself in Europe there for a second, and then there was a pretty obvious Japanese name in there. And in the Pacific, the land battles are few and far between. It's pretty much just Iwo Jima and Guadalcanal.
This is the second word in the title of a 1957 book about language that was negatively reviewed by Noam Chomsky in 1959. The study of this concept in animals is called ethology. B. F. Skinner and John B. Watson pioneered a psychological school of thought named for this word. The B in the type of therapy known as CBT stands for a form of this word. For 10 points, give this word for the way a person acts.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, given the Skinner thing, I was thinking it was going to be something related to classical conditioning, which is directly related to behavior. So behavior makes sense. And then when they said, or it starts with a B, I was like, classical conditioning doesn't start with a B. What am I supposed to do with that?
Two love-struck men in this play disguise themselves as the music tutor Lydio and the schoolmaster Cambio.
This is obviously
This
Shakespeare.
play is framed as an entertainment for the drunkard Christopher Sly.
Oh,
the male
what was
lead of this play hopes to wive it wealthily in Padua, where he is recruited to woo Bianca's temperament.
Okay. I forgot that was a play within a play, or I forgot the framing device for that. I mean, it's been a while since I've read it. I read it in... Did I read it in college? I've had like a inkling to just read through the Shakespeare's again. Because there's some I haven't. Most of the bad ones I haven't read. Because the bad ones are pretty bad. I don't think Winter's Tale is very good.
After retiring from his primary sport in 2018, this man played for the Central Coast Mariners, an Australian soccer team. This man celebrated...
I think that's Bolt. Yeah, Usain Bolt played soccer a little bit. Which makes sense. Very fast. Very fast. A very good striker as long as he can... Or his skill set is very good for striking as long as he can handle the ball.
This data structure can be implemented as a singly linked list in which the head pointer can be followed to the top. This data structure is often contrasted with a queue. Its two main operations are called push and pop. A group of question and answer websites is named for the exchange of these data structures. For 10 points, name this last in, first out structure that can undergo a namesake overflow.
Okay, yeah. I forget, I play so much Magic, and so Magic, the order in which spells resolve is called the stack, and I forget that that's a programming term.
A legend claims that a Portuguese king with this anglicized name will one day return to save Portugal. A saint with this name was killed after denouncing the sins of Diocletian. Viola's brother has this name in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. It is preceded by Lil in the name of a beloved miniature horse on Parks and Recreation.
Okay. Again, I really like questions like that, where it's like 14 different Sebastians in order of less known to more known. I should have got that one off the Shakespeare. I was even thinking about Twelfth Night going into that taming of the, or in the middle of that taming of the shrew question.
This author wrote that the would-be tyrant Appius Claudius erred by attacking the common people too soon in one section of a commentary that ends with the events of the Third Samnite War. This author of Discourses on Livy argued against hiring mercenaries and discussed means of acquiring political power.
Oop, this should be a V. Okay. This one I spelled right too. Take that, Machiavelli.
Heracles immediately apologized after firing an arrow at this god, who graciously loaned out a golden cup that Heracles used to travel to Erythea. The Colossus of Rhodes was a statue of this god. The followers of Odysseus were killed for slaughtering this god's sacred cattle. His son Phaeton died driving this god's chariot, which...
Yeah, I knew like it's a sun god, but I forget because Apollo's also kind of a sun god. So I forget which one is. Well, Helios is. Oh, I haven't had to think. Helios is the manifestation of the sun, but Apollo is the god of the sun. I think it's weird.
In 1986, this country's socialist president was forced to begin a period called cohabitation by appointing a conservative prime minister from the RPR party. The right-wing National Front Party in this country lost a 2017 election after a socialist president left office amid 4% approval ratings.
So is that going to be
10 points,
Chavez?
name this country where Marine Le Pen was defeated.
Yeah, it's Marine Le Pen. Literal Nazi, Marine Le Pen.
This man is told, "I can't believe your song is gone so soon, I barely learned the tune," in a Simon and Garfunkel track that bids so long to him.
Oh, alright. Yeah, I jumped in on the wrong thing. They had a song about Frank Lloyd Wright. Interesting.
The Lambda CDM model is a refinement of this theory, whose namesake period of nucleosynthesis produced some deuterium and lithium, along with most of the current supply of helium. This theory is conceptually supported by the cosmological principle and observationally supported by the 2.73 Kelvin cosmic background rate.
Okay. It's like, what theory encompasses all of this astronomy stuff that they're talking about? You know, the Big Bang.
A congressman from this state chaired the select committee investigating the 2012 Benghazi attack. Texas Representative Will Hurd and a senator from this state are the only African-American Republicans in the 116th Congress. Another senator for this state was once a close friend of John McCain, but is now an ally of Donald Trump. For 10 points, what state is home to Trey Gowdy, Tim Scott, and Lindsey Graham?
Okay. Yeah, that was all stuff about very, very current South Carolina representatives that, I mean, Lindsey Graham's still kicking around somehow. But yeah, all those other ones were, although Scott may still be senator.
This war began after Heinrich Abekenz's account of a meeting with Vincent Benedetti was manipulated and leaked to the press. During this war, Leon Gambetta fled in a hot air balloon to escape a siege led by Helmuth von Moltke the Elder. At this war's Battle of Sedan, Napoleon III was captured by the armies of Kaiser Wilhelm I. For 10 points, name this war that ended in 1871 when German forces took Paris.
It's not just the Napoleonic War? Oh, yeah. That makes so much more sense. Yep. France fighting Germany. Franco. Yep. All right. That one made a lot more sense. I was just a little lost in all that.
In one story by this author, a lieutenant who shoots at a rider wearing women's clothes kills Tonia Perez rather than the Cisco Kid. This author of The Caballero's Way also wrote a story in which two criminals kidnap the obnoxious son of Ebenezer Dorset. In another story by this man, Della sells her hair to buy a Christmas present.
Okay. Yeah, what's Ransom of Red Chief? That's what they were talking about. I think that's the O. Henry. That's the other O. Henry one they were talking about, where the kid gets kidnapped, and then they end up giving him back because he's just so annoying. Which is definitely what O. Henry would write.
Pencil and paper ready.
Oh no, I thought we were going to get out
Alice
with no math.
needs to know the units digit of the integer
The what?
equal to the quantity 11 squared plus 12 cubed. Since when multiplying, the units digit of the product depends solely on the units digit of the multiplier and the multiplicand, she can quickly compute the units digit of each exponential quantity.
What?
Summing those values then produces, for 10 points, what units digit of 11 squared plus 12 cubed.
I don't... What? had no idea what was going on there at all. No clue.
This artist depicted a woman reclining against a bearded male figure who has antlers and a scaly tail in The Sea Monster. Along with his Italian contemporary Marcantonio Raimondi, he influenced the style of the Little Masters. A polyhedron and a magic square appear behind a seated angel with a slumping posture in this man's engraving Melancholia 1.
Oh, who's Melancholia?
This German...
It's Durr? Yeah, Durr. Man, that. Whew. That was a deep access there. I had not done anything about Durr in a long time. Oh, that was dragging up the. It was back in my Quiz Bowl days. I was never very good at doing the rote memorization thing, but my coach had lists that you could go through and memorize, which I was never good at, but I made an attempt at the art ones. And Melancholia is Durr. He's a engraver. Oh man, I was only an 11, but it felt good. That felt good pulling that from so far out.
This poem describes the depth and passion of an earnest glance. The title character of this poem rode around a terrace on a white mule that was the subject of an approving speech. The speaker of this poem has a 900-years-old name. Fra Pandolf painted a portrait of this poem's title character, who was too soon made glad. Robert Browning wrote, for 10 points, what poem...
Well, I needed the giveaway on this one. Let's just try this. My Last Duchess. Yep, that's a much better answer. Yep.
Pencil and paper ready. 2 answers
come
required.
On. What?
Jessica needs
Ridiculous.
to know both values of x that satisfy the equation x squared minus 8x equals 33. She begins by moving all of the terms to one side of the equation, allowing her to simply find the roots of a quadratic polynomial. For 10 points, find the 2 solutions to the equation x squared minus 8x equals 33.
Yeah, I was never gonna do that. See what I say? The math is so much harder in these. The other ones I could kind of do in my head. That you actually got to do. Okay, yeah, that makes. Because I was trying it, where it's. Because when it's the x squared minus 8x or plus 8x or whatever it was minus 11 or 33. So the 2 answers, they have to multiply together to make 33. And then their difference has to be 8. And as you can see, 11 and minus 3 fits. But it was also... that would have taken way too long.
An auctioneer from the state led German Americans in opposition to taxes levied by the John Adams administration during Friese's rebellion. John Neville's home in this state was attacked during an earlier revolt, which was put down by the Watermelon Army of Light Horse Harry Lee, and which opposed taxes on an alcoholic beverage.
It was the Whiskey Rebellion.
The Whiskey Rebellion took place near what state's city of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I thought all the revolutions, or the rebellions right after independence, I thought most of it took place in Pennsylvania, but I was too hesitant. I was just flabbergasted by that math.
One of this musical's lead characters fantasizes about raking in the chips and having her name on everybody's lips.
That name on everybody's lips is going to be Roxy. Roxy Hart from Chicago. Up there is one of my favorite musicals.
One of these bonds can react with hydrochloric acid to form vinyl chloride.
Bonds?
In the cyanide ion, the carbon and nitrogen atoms are connected by this type of bond, which is also...
Alkynes are triple bonds. I think. I was trying to be fancy. I knew it was a triple bond. Okay, so actually alkynes are compounds that have triple bonds in them. So I was a little too specific or non-specific. I was right in the wrong way. We'll put it that way.
This author wrote about bidders who attempt to buy a magical piece of movie memorabilia in his story at the auction of the Ruby Slippers, which appears in his collection East-West. A famous singer nicknamed the Brass Monkey is the sister of the large-nosed telepath Salim Sinai in this author's novel Midnight's Children.
No. Oof. That was all sorts of... It's very... Again... There's some hard swings in some of these where you're like, I have no idea what's going on. Oh, you just said Salman Rushdie's second most famous work.
This man punned on his name by signing paintings with a phrase meaning, as I can. He collaborated with his brother Hubert on a work that depicts a lamb bleeding into a chalice and which has 12 interior panels. This artist painted a small dog at the bottom of a 1434 portrait in which a man wearing black holds hands with a woman in green.
Who did the Arnolfini wedding?
Fleming painted.
That's the Arnolfini wedding. That's what you were about to say. But you bugged out. I pulled Durr, but I'm not going to pull this. Van Eyck. Yeah, Van Eyck. Pulled one artist real good, but couldn't pull arguably the more famous one. If the question was just about the Arnolfini wedding, would have been all over it.
In 1976, a dictator of this non-European country declared himself King of Scotland. This country...
Uganda. Yeah, it was Uganda. Because there's the Forrest Whitaker. It's Forrest Whitaker, right? Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. He was in that biopic about him. Who was it? It's not Idi Amin. Is it Mugabe? May have been Mugabe. Anyway, the movie was called Last King of Scotland. So I just said the wrong dictator of the wrong country. Or said the wrong country.
This relationship holds between two objects that can be transformed into each other by an isometry. This relationship is shown by proving two triangles have identical side lengths, but not by proving that they have identical angles, which only shows that the polygons are similar. An equal sign with a tilde on top denotes, for 10 points, what relationship between objects with the same shape and size.
What's that called? There's some deep geometry stuff going on here. Congruence. Yep, that was a word I used to have to know, but don't need to have to know it anymore.
This country's flag depicts a carved soapstone bird, an artifact found in a ruined city built by the Shona people.
Yes, woo! Oh, that feels good. So I think the city they were talking about was Great Zimbabwe. Oh, that felt like that was a good buzz. Oh, I felt good about that one.
In a novella by this author, the narrator flees frantically on the morning of July 16, 1927, leading to a raid that burns supposedly empty houses on the waterfront of the tidal New England town. This author of The Shadow over Innsmouth wrote about an Arctic explorer who made uncanny discoveries in the novella At the Mountains of Madness.
I always
what man created
forget this guy's name
for the tentacled monster Cthulhu.
I just continually forget this guy's name. Oh, it's the Cthulhu guy. Why do I always forget his name? This is like the fourth time this has happened to me. I don't understand why I can't remember this guy's name. Put me out of my misery. Lovecraft. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That's like the third time in the past few years that it's happened to me that I just can't pull Lovecraft. Ugh.
In 1970,
Don't
Richard
understand.
Nixon walked to this building for an impromptu early morning talk with student protesters in the wake of the Kent State Massacre. After being denied the use of DAR Constitution Hall in 1939, singer Marian Anderson performed at this building. In 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the I Have a Dream speech on this building's front steps.
I still don't understand why. I just can't say Lovecraft. I think that's happening. Like, whenever Lovecraft comes up in Buzzword, I just can't remember the dude's name. God, it's like I have the King in Yellow affecting my memory somehow. Cthulhu is messing with me.
The activation of the enzyme CAD during this process causes the fragmentation of
What's
DNA.
in CAD?
The escape of cytochrome C from the mitochondrion can cause this process.
It's
Cell membrane blooding occurs during this process.
apoptosis. Yep, I knew it was the programmed cell death, but I just forgot what the title was. Man, how do I keep forgetting Lovecraft's name? Yeah, maybe it's good reason. That dude was created an interesting sort of horror, but that dude was not cool, we'll say. Anyway, that's it for me. Had some good buzzes there. Had some good buzzes. Had some bad buzzes and weird things that I couldn't remember. Like Van Eyck and Lovecraft. It's always messing with me. Anyway, that's it for me. If you want to check out Buzzword and maybe play some yourself, you can go to neqt.com/Buzzword. See what they got going. And if you like these videos, got a bunch more on the channel. Feel free to like and subscribe and all that engagement stuff. Thanks for watching.